Hello guys, my name is Njenga Hakina, the Africa Climate Editor at the China Global South Project in Nairobi. Here we bring you all the climate updates and news happening from anywhere in the world, but which directly impact African countries. The biggest annual climate event in the world, the 28th Conference of the Parties, or COP28, has concluded in Dubai. African countries had 6 top priorities they needed addressed for them to move forward in dealing with climate change effects. These priorities were climate finance, global stocktake, strengthening adaptation actions, operationalization of the loss and damage fund, a just energy transition, and the continent's quest to be granted the special needs and circumstances status. As has been the norm at the COPs, there have been several announcements but not substantive commitments on how to deliver the promises. Yet again, the continent may receive the short end of the stick, but let's see what the major initiatives aimed at enhancing Africa's climate resilience look like. Even though Africa is responsible for less than 5% of the world's pollution, it is experiencing unfair and severe consequences from climate change. At COP28, the African negotiators strongly stated their dedication to switching to cleaner energy and getting financial support for dealing with climate issues. They stressed the urgent need for money, saying that at least $200 billion every year will be needed until 2030 to handle the loss and damage caused by climate change, and an additional $400 billion is needed for adapting to these changes. Well, a few countries like the United Kingdom, the United States, and Japan have promised to give money to the Loss and Damage Fund, but South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, who supports the idea of the fund, also suggested that bigger changes need to be made in the global banking system so that they can help poor countries by reducing their debts. Fun fact, China is Africa's largest trading partner, and its contribution or intention to put some money in the kitty has not yet been made public at the COP. This is raising eyebrows and could increase pressure for China, which also seeks to qualify for the loss and damage funds. Many multilateral development banks, or MDBs, like the African Development Bank, AFDB, the European Investment Bank, and others, want to help African countries handle climate change and create strong and tough infrastructure. They have proposed the creation of diverse funds to address various climate change challenges that African countries are contending with. A big problem in many African countries is food security. To address this, African and Middle Eastern leaders announced the launch of the Global Green Growth Institute's, or the GGI's, SAFE initiative, worth $10 billion. The initiative focuses on changing food systems for people whose livelihoods are threatened by climate change. The MDBs said they are putting $1.6 billion together to support food systems that can handle climate change and also create special zones for processing agricultural products. Also, plans for a fair switch to cleaner energy, commonly referred to as the just transition, were outlined, and these included creating a consortium for green energy storage where 10 African countries expressed interest. This group will work on creating energy storage systems which are suitable for these countries and could also be expanded into other countries that join or become members of this consortium. The AFDB also proposed the creation of green banks and launched the Climate Action Window that will get $4 billion into 37 low-income countries across the continent by 2025. The bank also introduced the Africa Climate Risk Insurance Facility for Adaptation, ACRIFA, with a goal of offering $1 billion in concessionary loans in Africa. While China is still MIA, countries such as the US and the UK promised to give money to the Green Guarantee Company, or the GGC, to help with green bonds and loans. The UK also said they are investing in clean energy projects in Sierra Leone and Kenya through the British International Investment. The US made a big promise of $3 billion to the Green Climate Fund, or the GCF. With all these pledges and initiatives from major players worldwide, will Africa really gain access to the funding needed for climate resilience? Because this is what is needed. Well, this is only possible if these collaborative efforts progress into action. As it stands now, creating a more climate resilient and sustainable future for Africans remains the sole responsibility of the countries on the continent. This can only be done when they take the initiative and move ahead with action, with or without the funding. Well, for these and more stories, find us on YouTube, China Global South Project, or on social media platforms like X or Facebook, China Global South Project. We are also on Patreon, where you get exclusive content. So please do subscribe, and there you will be able to see all other stories that you may not find anywhere, especially on China-Africa relations. And because climate change is a big deal, and China is a big player in Africa's economic sector, this is why it is important that we get to know what is happening across the continent and the involvement of China in the different countries. My name is Njenga Hakina. If you have a comment, if you have an idea, leave a comment on any of our social media platforms, and we will be sure to get back and to engage with you. See you again soon.